And 3, 2, 1, boom, rolling. Collin Cottrell, my guy. What is going on?
Live and in person.
Live and in person. Never would have thought it. What's up with that?
It's awesome, man. This is awesome. This is great. Nice setup you have here.
Yeah,
man.
you like it?
Where are we at? We're in Montana.
Yeah, Billings.
Yeah. Montana. I didn't know if you wanted to say that or not.
No,
so.
I think people know by now. I think people know by
Didn't know
now.
if you had a hidden address or something like that. But no, man, this is a great little setup. You got a great place here. We just got back from 3 days in the backcountry, I guess you could call it.
I think 4.
4 days in the breaks.
Yeah, I think 4.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I think 4. You're a long way from home.
I am. Long ways from San Antonio, man. It feels good, though. I'll be honest. It feels really good to be back in Montana. I haven't been here for probably 10 years, to be honest with you.
Because you used to live here, right?
I did. I lived here from end of 2008, I think, until 2010. Yeah, about 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah.
So actually, middle of 2011, I think it was actually. So yeah, I was there for in Bozeman for 3 years and moved to Texas. So
You miss it, don't you?
I miss it. This really made me miss it, to be honest with you. I mean, I love Texas. Texas is a great place, great state, good people, a lot to do, a lot of hunting. But through my journey the last couple of years of getting in shape and just getting better in my life as a man, I realized I really want to be back in the mountains. I want to spend a lot of time doing hard stuff in the mountains. Yeah. So whether it's running or chasing elk and deer, Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's awesome to be back here for that reason.
Well, dude, we're going to get all into that. And I asked you what was going on, which is probably one of the dumber questions I could ask you, and that we just spent the past 4 days together. But let's dive into that, man. How did you end up here? Pretty random, no?
So back in the day, so I had a client. I was running like a digital marketing business where I was kind of like a freelancer really at that time. I didn't have my agency yet. So I was a freelancer. I was doing digital marketing. Social media was just getting started. I was doing a lot of graphic design, building websites, doing a lot of stuff like that in the hunting space. And through the hunting industry, I met some different people. And one of the guys was Rocket Ryan Litwin, one of my good friends still. Who actually he used to live in Texas. We both moved from Montana to Texas, and then he lives in Missouri now. But what's kind of crazy is going back. It's kind of crazy to go back, honestly. Think about this. He was living out here in Bozeman, and he was like, "Man, why don't you come down for spring break from college?" He's like, "Why don't you come visit me for spring break, and we'll hang out. You get to check out. I've never been to Montana. I've never been out west, and I've kind of always had this little thing inside of me that was like, man, I want to get out west. I want to check out what the mountains are like. I want to hunt out west. Actually, what kind of got me into it was reading Cam Haines' backcountry bow hunting book, which we were just talking about that a little bit ago because you have the book upstairs. And that really got me fired up to get out west at some point and start learning how to hunt out. I mean, I was a green, I was like this flatlander from Minnesota, you know what I mean? So as a flatlander, you're from Michigan, we have this dream inside of us, what the mountains, we hear these stories, we hear about it, elk and mule deer and antelope and moose and all these different things. And so eventually I moved, or I came out for spring break to visit Ryan. We were doing some marketing work together because he was one of my clients. So it was kind of like a business trip in a sense as well. I got to meet him and some of his friends, and him and his friend Toby, who kind of ended up being one of my mentors when I moved here. Shout out to Toby. I haven't talked to him for several years now, but awesome guy. Really, really helped me kind of adapt to the Montana way of life. Toby and Ryan were like, why don't you come back out, later in the spring after school's done and come do a bear hunt? That could be your first Western hunt. I think you had to either draw at that time or you could buy it over the counter. It was one of the two where it was a pretty easy draw. So I ended up getting a tag and coming back. And when I was out here for that hunt, my first Western hunt ever, I just realized like, this is where I want to be. This is the place I want to be. I want to be in Montana. Some crazy stuff happened after that. We don't have to get into that, but I ended up not being in school and I decided to move west. I think I moved early August of 2000 and it might have been mid-July or early August of 2008, I believe it was. And Just, yeah, I loved it, man. I moved out here and just fell in love with it. Toby kind of took me under his wing. He'd take me out elk hunting. He'd take me out mule deer hunting. Because I couldn't get tags that first year,
Right.
so I could only just be out in the woods and just kind of hang out and follow him along. So yeah, I did a lot of just following him throughout that first year, and then that next spring, I think I was 6 months into it, I was able to get a bear tag, and then from there I was able to start doing a little bit of western hunting, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's crazy to think back. That was, you know, over 12 years ago now that I was out here hunting, elk hunting, learning my way around the woods, and it was very intimidating. We were talking about this when we were out in the woods. You know, we're looking at onX, you know, marking all of our spots, marking where we, we found some bedding areas, and we spotted some elk and some cows and whatever. Like we're rolling around all through the breaks, able to know exactly where we're at every exact moment. Well, back then we didn't have anything like onX. We didn't have any kind of digital. I mean, you could do a Garmin like little deal, you know, little Garmin GPS, I guess. But really that was for safety. That was just for the sake of kind of knowing where you were at, you know, and being safe. But really you pulled out the regular map, you know, the topo. All right, I'm right here at, you know, this spot, and you're trying to figure it out, and like you're just kind of, you know, like it's big country, especially being from the hardwoods of Minnesota in the Midwest.
Yep.
Like, yeah, there's some big woods where I come from, you know, thousands of acres, but nothing like this, man. Just nothing like climbing up and down mountains with grizzly bears around you, and just all, you know, all kinds of animals around you, and people, and just, you know, it's just crazy to think to that time. But I had some pretty good hunts. I never ended up, I don't think, ever killing anything out here at that time. So I'm still, oh, I did. Sorry. I killed an antelope. With my bow, sitting on a water hole for 5 days, I think it was, in 98-degree weather, you know, 1 August. That was pretty crazy. But so it felt really good. I guess what I'm trying to say is it felt really good to come back. You know, you posted on, I knew you were out. I knew it was hunting season. I knew you were getting after it. But you posted on Instagram the other day. You're like, hey, does anybody want to come chase some bugles with me? And I kind of half jokingly said, hey, you know, buy me a ticket and I'll be there. You responded back, find something around $300 and I'll get you. So I ended up finding a flight, you know, for a decent price, and we kind of split it. And here I am, you know, I'm here in Montana hanging out, man. And we just got done hunting for, like you said, 4 days and getting after it. And it was amazing. And like I said, like I've kind of been down this path of getting in shape, and you know, like I'm starting, and we'll touch on this later, but I signed up for a 100-mile race. It's going to be my first ultra. I'm kind of working my way up, you know, in training right now for that. So I really wanted to get out here too, to test my body, to kind of see how my body would be against the woods, you know, the western woods. Not that it was the mountains, but it was still some pretty good hills. You know, we had some good elevation gain and drop, and we put on, what was it, almost 40 miles, I believe.
Yep, just shy of that.
So
yep.
in a couple days, I mean, that's freaking awesome. And like, I'm not even tired. Like I feel great. I mean, I'm tired because we just didn't get a lot of sleep. We were getting after it, but like my body's not tired. Like I feel energized. I feel good. So.
Right. Well, you did great, first of all. Second of all, just how everything played out so soon and so like perfect, right? Because I was out last Saturday with my wife, and you know, having a drink, watching football, just trying to, you know, a little date, like whatever, just hanging out.
You had just gotten back from the woods already, right?
Yeah,
you'd been out hunting a little bit.
Yeah, so I wanted to hang out with her and just kind of do our thing, and I was like, yeah, I'm fixing to leave here in a couple of days. I was like, should I make a post on the page? And I didn't even know the exact dates that I was leaving, and she's like, I was like, maybe I should see if anybody, just trying to like engage people, right? Like trying to get my audience engaged. And I was like, does anybody want to come chase bugles from whatever date to whatever date? And I think the first person, a lot of people actually hit me up, and sorry if you're listening to this and I didn't get back with you. But you were like the first guy to hit me up. I was like, hey, find a reasonable flight and let's ride. Yeah. And we'd been talking more recently now with some stuff going on. and all good things, of course. Just you know,
well, running. You know, that was one of the
Yep.
things we've been talking about. I know you've ran a few ultras, and
Yep.
you've been in that game for a bit, and obviously I'm pretty new to that. You've done the Mid-State Mile. We've been talking back and forth. You know, I've known about the Mid-State Mile for a couple of years now, and seeing Chad Wright and some of those other guys that really promote that and push that. I've been thinking about doing something super challenging like that. And then what was it last year or earlier this year? You were like, I'm doing it. I was like, oh, you do that? I didn't even realize that you were into that kind of stuff, I guess, at that point, because we didn't know each other that well, just from the podcast we did prior, and then through social media, kind of going back and forth. Obviously, we've been getting to know each other.
And you were on a previous episode.
Yeah, on the after that,
number 37. So if you haven't tuned into that, and I told you this earlier, not to cut you off, but I've done. I guess this will be now 51. I told you months and months ago. I was like, hey man, I've done some episodes, and just the way that we jived and hit it off, I felt like I knew you.
Yeah.
That's important to me.
Yeah, of course.
Like you have perspective. We can it's more than surface level
Yeah.
conversation. And your episode number 37 was one of my favorite episodes that I've ever done.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
It was one of
you.
my favorite podcast interviews I was part of, to be honest with you.
Well,
man.
I appreciate that. But for you to be like, hey, I'll come. And I'm like, son, because we had been, like, we talked the day before, I think, on the phone for 45 minutes.
Yeah, we did. That's right.
And I was like, you found a decent price flight.
Yeah.
I got you on half.
For that quick.
I was like, I got you on half 100%. I'll pay half your trip. Within 20 minutes, you send me a confirmation flying into Billings, and I'm like, you need to call me right now. Or you said that, one of the two.
You couldn't believe it.
I could not believe it. I could not believe it. I was
You're
like,
are you serious?
I was like, are you really coming out, man? And we just had
it's booked, bro.
we just had an absolute blast, man. And we got into them, and we'll touch on that here in a bit.
Yeah.
But before we do that, and we had this conversation today. You actually brought it up when we were glassing this morning.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of touched on, you were somewhat giving me kudos for kind of taking a chance and investing in. Because not a lot of people would be like, hey, I'll front you X amount of dollars to come out.
Yeah.
And that wasn't for me like just for company or anything. Because I had been getting to know you. And I see what you put out on. You help a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, you're, like I said.
I try to lead with value.
Yeah.
In everything I do. I've
so simple, right?
Through the years, I've found that's super important, and I think that's where you and I hit it off. You could see that I'm not just a surface level guy. I'm somebody who likes to get deep, have deep conversations. We've had plenty of deep conversations, out here, in Montana while we've been together, so it's been awesome. It's been refreshing to hang out and spend time with somebody who is high caliber, is somebody who I want to surround myself with, even though you're a few years younger than me, and that's okay. Yeah. I've always been somebody who's drawn to older people because I've always, kind of was seeking out those people as my mentors. But now I'm in a position where I've had a lot of growth over the last couple of years, and I think that I have this opportunity now to maybe mentor you and other guys like you who are a little bit younger but want to get after it like I want to get after it. You've done some pretty cool stuff, man, like, doing some ultras and, just what you do in your day job, those kinds of things. Like, I think that's really cool. It's the lifestyle. It's the lifestyle that you want to live, and that's the lifestyle I want to live, and we want to surround ourselves with people like that. And kind of getting back to what you were saying is, there's not a lot of guys who... you're 28, I think?
Just a touch.
You're 28 years old,
yep,
Tyler?
Almost 29.
Yeah.
Yep.
So not saying that you're like super young or anything like that, but like, there's a lot of guys in their 20s to 30s, even in their 30s, who wouldn't follow up and say, man, I'll pay for a part of your trip if you want to come hang out. Yeah. And that's what I was telling you this morning. That's special, man. I think you have something different inside you. You look at stuff as an investment. You look at, hey, I can spend the next 3, 4, 5 days with this guy, learn from him, have some good talks, have some good conversation, just spend some time with somebody who I want to be around. And it goes the same way with me. like I was pumped just to come. Like, I don't have a tag. Yeah. I don't have to be here hunting. I've got plenty of stuff I could be easily working on back home, with my family and my high caliber hunts and different things that I'm working on. But I can see the value that I have be spending time with you, or the value you have for us to spend time together. So, just thinking about that, I was like, man, that's really cool that you were looking at it from that perspective. Like, hey, I want to spend some time with this guy. It's not just like you said this morning. It's not just about the hunt, Collin. I want to be here hanging out with somebody like you. Like, I look up to you. Yeah. I want to learn from you. You've done a lot of really cool stuff in the hunting industry, and building your life around being an entrepreneur and different things like that. And that's a cool thing that you saw that and that you wanted to invest that time. There's guys that won't. They'll go spend that $400, $300 on a new Sitka jacket or whatever.
That's what we were saying. It's like, I can throw $300-$400 at you to get you out here and learn from you and form a real bond, opposed to a podcast over Skype, or having a conversation via text or phone. Yeah. It's like, I can use that money and help you get out here where we can actually get to know each other, shake each other's hands. Shit, we slept next to each other for 4 days. Yep. Or I can go buy a new jacket, a new Sitka jacket. Yeah. And it's like, and I was telling you, I want to invest in experiences and memories. Yeah. I want to invest in myself and other people to make me a better man. So, love it. Like we were talking about,
kudos. Like I said, more people earlier, need to. Kudos to you for that, man.
More people need to do that, I think.
Yeah, that's a mature thing to do, and you'll find that as you try to surround yourself with more people that are like-minded, that want to have these deeper conversations, that want to live for more than just the surface level things, that you're going to be even more willing to invest that time, that money, into those relationships, into those people. So yeah, it's a good thing.
Well, you obviously got a lot going on, man. Why did you decide to make the investment in yourself and in me to get out here, man? Because like at the end of the day, you had to pay some money to get out here. You're a busy man. You got a lot going on. You're married. You have 3 kids. Yeah. Like, you don't know me apart from a couple phone calls and a previous podcast. Like, why did you want to, like, we know why I did, but why did you want to get out here?
It's a great question. Let me think about that.
This podcast is done. Thank you guys for listening.
Thanks for listening. Cut. No, man. First of all, like, I can see that obviously we're very like-minded. You're big into running, you're big into lifting, you're into shooting a bow, you're into getting after it. You kind of have this little inkling for entrepreneurship. I can, just talking to you over the last few months, you want to start doing some of your own stuff. Obviously with Montana, the Nock's podcast, like you're trying to build something. So I can see that, like, there's some pretty cool stuff there, so we can jive on that kind of stuff. But, I want to learn from you too. I want to learn about running better. I want to learn about, this mid-state mile thing. I want to learn how to be an ultra runner. So I thought that would be pretty cool. But also, like, just getting to know somebody who is like-minded and wants to get after it in life. Like, you're married, you want to have kids, you want to have a family, you want to, serve your community, you want to serve the people around you, you want to build something special with your business, those kinds of things. Like, I want to surround myself with those people. So I'm willing, just like somebody's willing to invest in a high caliber hunt, I want to invest in opportunities that are going to bring value to me and that are going to bring value for both of us, where we got to spend 4 days in the woods, having some really deep conversations about life and personal issues, and dreams and goals and those kinds of things. And, unfortunately, we live in a time where, and I know we talked about this a lot out on the mountain, people are super wrapped up in their social media persona, and I know we had some frustration. We shared our frustration over that. And, we both are guys who are kind of like, we have all this content and stuff we could easily be posting and stuff like that, but we kind of lay back on it because it's not about that. It's about actually digging in and doing the work, putting in the effort. Obviously there's something special about sharing the journey because it's going to help people. And I think for me personally, I know that when I share something on social media, it's to try to help people. It's not to make myself look better. It's not to try to pump myself up, which there's a lot of that today, unfortunately. There's a lot of guys gaming the reels. We were talking about that, trying to tag sponsors and everything that they do. And it's like, man, that's a game. Like, that's not real life. Like, and that's not what we want to do. And I can tell you're different in that sense, even though you're a younger guy in that same age bracket as a lot of those people doing that. you're looking at building real relationships. You're looking at building real growth for your business, you know, for whatever you're doing, not showing this fake persona of who you are on social media that's not even real life. Not every reel that you post is you pulling back your bow, you know. I think we joked about that.
Yep.
Everybody, that's the hot thing right now, all these reels of people pulling back their bow. It's like, bro, you've been posting that same reel for the last 4 months, trying to game the reel system on Instagram. It's like,
that's what we all do.
That's not what this is about, man. This is about building actual, like, we literally met 6 months ago, and now we're hanging out together, and we have hunts planned now for next year where you're coming out to Texas to help me pace for my 100. I'm gonna be at Midstate. We're gonna you know, team up on that together. You know, we're actually making plans to do stuff together, not just to make reels and make content. You know,
and we have so much content.
Yeah,
like you're essentially a content creator. Like you've been involved with, I mean, like, you know, not so much now, but like you've worked with some really, really high class, well known people in this quote unquote hunting industry.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't know that by going on your page or following your journey.
I don't have to push that out
because
there.
nobody cares.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I could go post every day a new post like, oh, look at me back in 2007 hanging out with so and so. You know what I mean? Like, I told you all the people I've worked with in the industry and the who's who of the hunting industry.
Right.
But I don't care about that. Like, those are just relationships and a lot of friendships that I've had, and I still value and I care about them, and I'm grateful for those opportunities. But we should always be pushing forward towards our goals, towards our dreams, to lead our family, to lead the people around us. That's what's important, like in real life, not on social media, in real life.
Because social, not to cut you off, because social media is fake, man.
Yeah.
It is. And
fake.
I've talked about it with multiple people that have been on the show, and say what you want, but not a lot of people post L's.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people post losses, man.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And it needs to be shown. And we'll get into some mistakes that we made. Well, more me, but because you know,
team effort, bro.
Of course. But we'll get into that here in a little bit with regarding our elk trip. But I've always been transparent on the show where I want people to hear exactly what happened, good, bad, or otherwise. If we would have shot a slammer this weekend, dude, of course I'm going to talk about it. But guess what? Spoiler alert, we didn't. We didn't.
Yeah.
And we made some mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But as I was telling you on the mountain, like, I want to take away something every day. Like I'm trying to work on this craft, and I know that it takes years. And I'm like, I just got to keep putting my time in, and I want to share these struggles because it's real.
This isn't a 1-2 year game.
No.
You know what I mean? This is a long game. We're playing the long game here. We're playing, hey, hunting is, I want to do this the rest of my life. You know, I want to do jujitsu the rest of my life. I want to be a runner the rest of my life. I want to be in shape the rest of my life. Anybody can do something for a season. Anybody can do something for a couple months. You know what I mean? Anybody can look really cool on social media for a small period of time and gain some followers and some social media notoriety. But I think what I like about you, Tyler, and I know I'm the same way on this, is like we think about things in the long term. Like we're thinking about right now, 6 months ahead to a 100-mile race, or right now to the Mid-State Mile, or right now for next. I'm already thinking about next elk season. Why did I come here to hang out with you? Because I want to be here next year with a tag in my pocket, hunting elk. So I want to be here. I wanted to be here to test my legs and test my body against the mountains with you. Or the hills, I guess you could call it. Sorry, we weren't in the mountains, but we were in the breaks, you know, and I wanted to test myself against that and see how I felt after 3-4 days. And I feel freaking great. I'm very confident that I could go on a couple elk hunts next year and put myself in a position to have a lot of success. Now, other than the fact that I haven't been elk hunting much. So I'm going to need some good people around me to help me with that part of it, you know, and I'm going to need to learn a lot. But luckily today we do have some realistic content creators who do put out some really good tips and information. Guys like Dan Staten, we were talking, we both admire Dan, and Dan's been a friend and a client of mine for many years. I'll name drop. There you go.
Yeah. Boom.
and Dan would love that. You know, he's or Dan wouldn't even care about that, honestly, because he doesn't care about the limelight. He just does it because he likes to help people and he likes to share the true, honest journey. And that's what I love about guys like Dan. There's some guys out there like him that just share the real stuff, share the honest content, and then they put out products that are around hard work and getting after it. That's what he sells. He sells hard, like he says all the time, I sell hard work. I love that. I love people who sell. That's what I want to sell. I want to sell high caliber relationships and hard work. You know, somebody who's high caliber is getting after it. They're working hard. They're getting after it, not just with their body, but with their family, their relationships, their community, maybe their spiritual life. All those areas to me are very important. Not that I'm perfect in any of those areas or the best. I'm on the journey just like everybody else, but those are the kind of people we want around us. So, I don't remember where we were going with this. We were talking about elk hunting, but
you're good. I got something. So I want to dive into the elk hunting, but first I want to start because this podcast is never about me. It's always about I'm trying to get to know somebody.
Yeah.
It's about the guest. That's why this is actually the first episode that I've video recorded. That's why it's more focused on you.
Yeah.
And we got a little side view. Hello there. And we'll figure out what to do with that. But anyways, you got a hell of a journey. You're on this ride right now where like we put on darn near 40 miles and you crushed it.
Yeah.
Well,
did I?
You did. Because I told you, man, I gave you a preference. I was like, yo, but I see you're working. I understand that. I get it. And I was like, hey, man, like we're going to get after it. Yeah. We're going to put miles in. We're going to chase bugles. We're going to get after it.
But anybody can show that they're getting after it on social media.
but like you said, though, before I get into my main thing here, is that people who get after it can automatically tell just by talking to somebody. Yeah. It's not what you post on the internet, none of that bullshit. Can just tell, just a phone call or just a podcast a few months ago.
Yeah.
They can automatically tell if you're actually about that life.
Yeah, exactly.
And I knew that you were. So 2 years ago, what we just did over the past 4 days would have probably been a little bit of a struggle.
Oh, it'd have killed me.
So
I wouldn't have made it a half hour.
So I want you to go through your journey over the past 2 years. And then I want to talk about maybe some stuff that you got going on in February. And then we'll work into our trip. And I just want to hear about, because people need to hear what you've been through over the past 2 years. Because you haven't always been this guy sitting across from me.
Yeah, of course. I think I've always had it inside of me that I wanted to be this guy, but I didn't put it in the work. You know, I talked a big game. I think that there's a lot of people out there, and that's a good lesson for everybody is, hey, we all talk this big game. We all think that we can be a certain person or do a certain thing in life, but then we don't do it, you know? And that was exactly who I was. I was this guy who was talking a big game. Oh, I could hunt the mountains. I could kill elk in the mountains. I could run races. I could lift heavy weights, whatever. I could be a good dad. All those things. And I was falling short in most of those areas, pretty much all those areas. And a big part of that for me was my physical fitness. And because of my physical fitness, my mental health was failing. My emotional health was failing. My spiritual health was failing. My relationships were failing. So my social health, I guess you could say, a lot of areas were failing. And I was not being the person that I wanted to be. And it came to a head, my third child was on the way. It was the end of 2020. We just went through COVID. We went through everything there. No gyms were open. A lot of crap, happening. My wife was pregnant. We're eating cookies and ice cream every night. I'm drinking bourbon every day. You know what I mean? Like sitting around, moping around, pretty much depressed, pretty much thinking, man, I'm not ready for a third child for sure. My relationships were starting to improve because luckily my wife and I went through this phase of we were doing some counseling together. So thank God we did that. Otherwise we probably would have killed each other during COVID. But I got to this point where I was like, enough is enough. Like, I can talk a big game, I can look a certain way on social media, but I know in my heart, I look myself in the mirror and I know I'm not putting in the work. I'm not putting in the effort to be the best that I can be in my life. It's hurting me in a lot of areas. So I just made a change. You know, I started January 1st of 2021 and I said, you know what? Every single day I'm going to start doing a 1 hour workout. Simple as that. You know, and let's not be fake here. Like, I do have a background in working out. Like, I played college. I was a college athlete. I played college football. I know enough about nutrition. I know enough about working out to get around the gym. I know enough about like going down that journey. I just didn't ever follow through. I didn't stay consistent with it. So I said, you know what? Let's start with some baby steps here. Okay. Let's go a 1 hour workout, you know, 5 times a week. That's what I said. 20 times a month is what my goal was. And so the first month, January 2021, I got it. I think I hit 21 days or something like that of 1 hour workouts. I was feeling a little bit better. I didn't lose much weight. I lost maybe a couple pounds because I was still eating like crap, and you know, my nutrition wasn't dialed in. In a 1 hour workout in the gym doesn't turn into you losing much weight if you're not getting movement in during the day and you're not eating right. So from there I was like, man, I need to do something more here. I need to get more than just that 1 hour workout, and I need to start kind of intensifying my workouts. Finding some different things that I can do that aren't just lifting. And I wasn't in any kind of shape to really run at that point. I mean, I was running like an 18-minute / walking an 18-minute mile. That was the fastest I could go.
How much were you weighing during that?
290 pounds. So I was a big boy. You know, I was pretty heavy. I am a tall guy, so I'm 6'3", but 290 pounds, man. I was pretty darn close to hitting that 300 mark, you know? So yeah, it wasn't good. So yeah, I started doing the 1 hour workouts. Then I found jujitsu. That was kind of a savior for me, man, in the sense of, you know, like I found something that is hard work, burns a lot of calories, isn't running, because I hate running. I didn't want to run, which is kind of funny to think about now. But I started doing jujitsu, and I was like, at first I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. You know what I mean? I literally thought I was going to die. I was getting choked out by people half my size, first of all. Second of all, like, you want to puke because you're way out of shape. I was 287 pounds when I started, I think, you know, like I'm pretty much almost puking throughout the whole 1 hour session. But I just kept coming back. I kept showing up, you know, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to keep showing up. And then from there, it kind of transitioned. All right, you know, I need to figure out like my nutrition side. You know, I know enough about it, but I know I need somebody to hold me accountable. Otherwise, I'm not going to follow through. I'm not going to do this. You know, I'm not good at this. And, you know, I knew that I needed somebody around me that was going to say, you know what, Collin, you're going to do this, and I'm going to follow up with you on a daily basis. So I went out and hired my coach, Josiah Novak, and it wasn't cheap. I had to put some skin in the game. First of all, I had to put a lot of skin in the game. You know, I could have easily taken that money that I spent on that and finished off paying my wife and my debt. We were working on being debt free at that point. I could have easily paid off like almost the last amount of our debt with that money. Instead, my wife said, she supported me. She said, you know what? I think you need to do this. I think you need to spend this hard-earned money, put some skin in the game, and if you come back to me and look me in the eyes and say you didn't follow through, I'm not going to be very happy with you. And so obviously I hired Josiah, and then from there he helped me get my nutrition dialed in. He had, you know, they were checking in with me on a weekly basis. You know, that's a big part of the program. And from there, the weight started falling off, man. You know, I got on fire. I started, you know, instead of just saying all these things, I started actually doing them. And 20 days of workouts a month turned into almost every day working out, doing jujitsu 3 times a week, lifting 3 times a week, getting 10,000 steps a day, getting super dialed in on my nutrition, hitting my macros, my protein every single day. And I was doing this every single day for probably 8 months straight, like literally not missing a day because I was dialed. I was rocking and rolling. And, you know, as you know now, like you can see me across from you, like I'm in pretty good shape. You know, I went from 290 pounds down to 200, and at that point I was at 220. And that was my first goal, was to get down to 220, and I hit it. And then hunting season came, and I knew I wanted to kind of just coast at that for a little bit. And, you know, I had some hunts planned and some different things planned. I wasn't going to stay as super dialed in, but I had learned a lifestyle. I had learned how to live this lifestyle, and I had learned to love working out on a daily basis. I learned to enjoy nutrition in the way that I eat now. I enjoy the foods I like, but I stay within a certain macro level, you know, with those foods. It became a lifestyle for me. Like, this isn't just like an overnight change where I just changed everything and all of a sudden I'm a new person. No, this was a gradual change over 8, 9, 10 months that built a lifestyle for me. And now it's ingrained into who I am. It's like, I don't ever see myself being anything else but this lifestyle. You know what I mean? So obviously from there, my goals changed and it kept leveling up. I kept growing in those goals. You know, I want to get a 6-pack. I want to run a race. I want to do, you know, some of these other things I'm starting to work towards now. So, which is really cool.
That's a lot, but something that stood out to me, and I wrote it down, is because you kept coming back and you just kept showing up.
Consistency, man.
Day after day.
Consistency. It's so I coach for Josiah now. I'm a coach under his system. I coach, 35 guys doing the same thing that I was taught how to do, that I learned from him. It's not rocket science, honestly. It's eating right. It's getting your nutrition dial on a daily basis, getting your movement in during the day, and getting some workouts in during the week. Now, do I take that to the extreme? Yeah, I do, because that's who I am. Like, I love where I'm at now. I love how I feel. I want to be the best I can be, and I have these new goals now where I want to run a 100-mile race. I want to lift a certain amount of weight. I want to become a purple brown belt in jiu-jitsu, maybe a black belt someday. And then I want to lead the people around me through those things as well. Like, that isn't just for me selfishly. It's those things are part of me leveling up in my personal life, but leveling up the people around me. Maybe somebody like you who can look up to me and say, hey, look at what Collin's done. I can level up in my life too. Yeah. I can level up like that. I can be consistent in my podcast. I can not miss a week in my podcast, so I can build this thing up and turn it into something that's my full-time gig someday or whatever. Right. So consistency is the most important thing, and we all have that inside of us. We just have to choose to do it. We have to get up tomorrow and say, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do a million things. I'm going to pick a couple things, and I'm going to do those on a consistent basis, and I'm going to level up in my life through those things. So,
yeah, the way I look at it, and I don't remember who I heard it from. Might have been Goggins, might have been Cam. I don't remember, but I don't negotiate with myself. It's like, hey, this is my day. This is what needs to be done. Not because I have to do it, because I say it needs to be done.
Yeah. You're not going to want to do it every day. Like,
I was telling you this week, I never want to get after it.
Yeah.
My favorite part of running is when I press stop on my Garmin and it's over.
and I can agree with you on that, man. It's not every day that I want to do those things. Now, has it become more enjoyable because I'm in tip-top shape and I'm dialed? Absolutely. There's days I'm like, you know what? Today it's 4:00 in the afternoon. It's the hottest part of the day. But you know what? I kind of want to suffer. I have a weird, sick thing inside of my brain for suffering now. It's kind of crazy. I don't know. It's just happened over the last couple of years, but I'll purposely go out for runs when it's 107 degrees, and I'll throw my 30-pound vest on, and I'll go for a run for, a half hour, and I'll suffer through it. Did I want to do that necessarily? No, but I did it because I know it's going to help me grow, and it's going to help me continue to level up and get better in a lot of areas of my life, not just running, not just hiking. It's going to help me level up in my marriage. It's going to help me identify the other areas of my life where I'm falling short and need to do those hard things or have those hard conversations to become better in those areas.
You talk about suffering. I feel like that's so important. Self-inflicted suffering, especially. So coming from a dude who was 290 pounds 2 years ago, hated running, really wasn't, kind of lost the touch with working out.
Yep.
even though you had all the information.
Yeah, I had it.
You knew about nutrition.
Yeah.
You knew what to do in the gym.
Yeah.
You just weren't doing it.
Yeah.
And now it's September, what is it? The 16th of September, 2022.
Second day of fall.
And in February of 2023, 2.5 years from 290 pounds, not doing essentially a darn thing, stagnant, depressed, not getting after it, not leveling up.
Yeah.
In February of 2023, Collin Cottrell is running a 100-mile race. Tell me about that. Why?
No,
Why are we doing that?
I'm completing a 100-mile race. I'm going to complete it. I'm going to run it all the way. I mean, not run it all the way through. I'm going to complete it though, man. And you're going to be there with me to help me. So
I will be there.
You're going to be there to pace me. Why am I doing it? You know what? Because first of all, I hate running. Like I said before, like I don't like it. Now, have I started to have like this weird sensation of enjoying it a little bit? Yeah, I kind of have, because you know what? I started doing it and I started slow. It was, my first goal was, hey, can I try to run 1 mile straight without stopping? Cool, I got that. Next I went to, can I do 2 miles straight without walking? Boom, I did that. Can I do 3, and so on and so forth. I went to 3 miles and then I started to make my goal. How fast can I run 3 miles? Once I was able to run 3 miles under at a 7-minute pace, I was like, holy crap, like I'm making some progress here. Now it was like, all right, I'm going to run a 5K. So I did a 5K and did pretty good in that. From there, I was like, what's next? Typically it's like a half marathon, right? No, it's a 100-mile race. That's what I chose, a 100-mile race instead.
Why?
Just because I know it's going to push me to my limits. I know it's going to make me follow through. It's going to make me do something and work really hard for the next 6 months that I have to do something that's, most people, I would say, I don't even know what the percentage is. I bet there's maybe 1% of people in the world that run a 100-mile race.
It's actually, I think, less than that. I've looked it up.
Is it?
Yeah.
So there you go. Like, that's pretty.
Don't quote me, but we don't have a Jamie here at the Montana Max podcast, but I'm pretty sure.
Not yet.
Yeah,
anyway.
not yet. But
that's pretty damn cool to think about, man. There's less than 1% of the people in this world that have ever ran something like that, or even probably completed something like that. And I'm going to do it, and I'm going to train my butt off up to that point. And I know that it's not just going to be for running. It's going to be something that's going to push me in all the areas of my life, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, socially. I'm going to need all those areas to complete this race. And then from there, I really hope that it inspires a lot of people around me. Selfishly, I hope it does. You know what I mean? That they see what I'm doing. They get off the couch and they say, you know what? Today I'm going to start going for walks. Next week I'm going to start going for some runs. The week after that I'm going to start eating better. The week after that I'm going to start working in some weights into my week. Whatever that is, whatever that looks like for them. I want to see people start to get on their own path or their own journey towards getting healthier, and not just physically. Like I said, I think you start to work on that physical side, the mental, emotional, social, spiritual side starts to come with it. There's a lot of people depressed. There's a lot of people hurting. There's a lot of people down in the dumps today. And there's close people around me that are. And I look at them, and unfortunately, they're way out of shape. And they don't look good. They don't feel good about themselves. And then they go on social media, and they see all these people who are living this fake life and fake persona, in shape, all these different things, and it just makes it even worse. So shut that crap off, start, get off the couch and just start putting in some work, on a daily basis, on a consistent basis, like we were talking about. And I think that's why I'm going to do it. That's why I'm going to run that 100-mile race, because I want to show people that not only can I go from 290 pounds to completing a 100-mile race, that I think if I could do it, anybody can do it. Come on. Are you serious?
Yeah.
So
no, I couldn't agree more. It's just very admirable, man. Like, that's it. I mean, I haven't even signed up for 100, and I told you, I was like, man, I don't know. Like, I might have a bib come February, but
that'd be awesome.
I want to be there to support you and push you. It'll just be one magical experience. And like we talked about, it might have been today, it might have been yesterday, but we had a lot of great in-depth, like, elk hunting isn't always like what you see on Instagram or YouTube. Like there's downtime.
Yeah, a lot of glassing time.
And the real people like Dan or other people that you might follow will tell you that. Yeah. Like there's a lot of downtime. So we got to know each other.
Yeah, we did.
And what I was telling you is that ultras are more than what's over my right shoulder, which is a bunch of medals.
Yeah.
It's not about that. Mm-hmm. That's not why I do those. Mm-hmm. It's not.
Yeah.
You will feel in an ultra race, once you complete it and you finish across the finish line, you don't give a damn about that medal. Yeah. You feel like you have lived 5 years of, I don't care if it's a 50K, mm-hmm. which could take anywhere from 4 to 7 or 8 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
You will feel like you lived an entire 5 years of your life.
Yeah.
So with ultras, it's more than just a medal. It's more than being like, hey, I ran X amount of miles.
Yeah.
You can apply ultra running and all the things that come with that, because there's a lot of ups, but there's even more downs through ultra.
Yeah.
So you got to ride that wave, just like elk hunting. Yeah. There's ups, but there's even more lows.
Yeah.
You have to ride that. So when shit gets hard in your personal life, with your family or your business or something like that, come February, at the end of February after you do this run, like I can do anything. This isn't nothing. I just ran 100 miles.
Exactly.
My kid's sick and he's really sick and I don't know, like, he's got the chicken, whatever. You're like, this is no, we're going to take care of this real quick. We got this.
Yeah,
like whatever it could be, financials, anything. Whenever shit gets hard, mm-hmm. in actual real life, you're going to look back to whatever ultra it is, especially 100, and be like, if I did that, I can deal with anything. Yeah. I can do anything in this world. That's why I do this shit.
I remember mile 75 when my ankles were hurting like hell. Mm-hmm. My calves were burning.
And you thought you were done.
Yeah. And you thought you were done, and then you made it through. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of moments like that as I run that 100-mile race. Just like there was a lot of those moments during this workout, this health and fitness journey I've been on. There was a lot of moments where, not every day and every week was did I want to get up and put in the work, but I got up and I put in the work. I just said, whatever. Feelings are feelings. You know what? It's not always about feelings. It's not always about being inspired. It's about putting in the work. Sometimes you just go to the gym and put 10 minutes in and, all right, I feel a little bit better now. Now I'm gonna finish this and get this done. There's a lot of moments like that. And I think it's a great way to look at it, Tyler, is when moments get tough in life, what are you gonna do? That's I think a lot of people are going to base who you are on that. In those tough moments, Collin didn't give up. He actually pushed harder into that, whatever that was, and got better and made the other people around him get better too. So that's, you're right about that. I love that.
And everybody wants to have this hopeful, false confidence about the tough moments. Oh, I'll be okay. I'll react. Well, will you?
Yeah.
If you're just stagnant through life and you're not putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, or you're not throwing yourself into the fire, as I like to say, will you? Same thing with my job, right?
Yeah.
If we don't train, if we don't shoot, if we don't practice all of our tactics, interior, exterior, communicating, when shit hits the fan, I'll be fine. Yeah. We'll be fine.
I'll make it through.
No, you won't. No, you won't. Not if you're not diligent in practicing and training. It's the same thing with life. When hard shit happens, if you're not doing hard shit in your life, how are you going to react?
How are you going to respond?
Oh, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
No, you won't. You've never done anything hard.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it absolutely does. And I see it, not only did I see that in my own life, because there was a lot of moments that were tough that somehow I did make it through some of them, but there was a lot of moments I didn't make it through them. You know what I mean? And luckily it didn't kill me or anything like that, but I felt weak. I felt helpless. You know what I mean? I felt like I had no hope in a lot of those situations. And I know a lot of people can relate with that because there's a lot of people that are in those same positions. Well, get off your butt and start doing some hard stuff. Start having those hard conversations with the people around you that you don't, you know, that you haven't had, that you need to have. You know, start going out and getting that exercise in that you don't want to do. I don't care if you're 350 pounds. I don't care, you know, if you haven't worked out a day in your life. Just get out and do something, you know, and then start to reach out to the people around you who are doing those things. You know, there's people, if you look around, there's a lot of people that are like you and I, Tyler, that want to help people, that want to, you know, hey, if somebody came up to me and said, I don't know how to go for a walk, I don't know how to get in the gym, I don't even know how to buy a gym membership. Mm-hmm. I would literally bring somebody to the gym and walk them through it if they really wanted my help. If they really came to me and said, you know what, I need your help to do this, I would do that. And I know you would do that too. So there's no excuse. Like, reach out to people. And if somebody says no, reach out to the next person that looks like they're in shape or that they know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Find somebody, because there's somebody out there. You know, because we want to see people have success. We want to see people live their life to the fullest. I know I do. So, yeah.
Likewise. And to go off that, it can be intimidating. Like, if you're listening to this and you're like, that sounds so cool, Collin, Tyler, great conversation, but I'm just so intimidated.
Yeah.
Trust us.
Yeah.
Trust us.
Get out of your comfort zone right there.
Get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Go tap a guy on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Who cares if his AirPods are in?
Yeah.
And he's deadlifting 5 plates.
Yeah.
He's probably going to help you.
Yeah, more than likely.
He's probably going to help you.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, frick him.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Find the next guy.
You have, like, it's okay. Like, I remember, like, especially when I was in college, I used to work out at the rec center. Great atmosphere. Like, people in there getting after it, whatever. I always, like, I mean, there's some big folks in there. There's some big folks, and, like, I wasn't very big or in shape in college.
Yeah.
And all those people want to do is help you if you just ask them.
Yeah.
If you just ask, I've done it.
Mm-hmm.
I've done it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, man, you mind if I hop in for a set? Oh, of course, yeah. Like, you just have to.
There's another aspect there too, I think, to that it's a good point that, you know, that you're bringing up. We have to humble ourselves.
You have to.
You have to humble yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, don't be so high and mighty that you can't ask somebody a question. Like, if you don't feel good and you know you want to be doing some certain thing, whether it's podcasting, getting in shape, being a better dad, being a better husband, just being a better friend, being a better coworker, whatever it is, seek out those people around you that you see that are doing a good job with that. Drop the ego, humble yourself, say, you know what? I'm not very good at this. I have a lot of work to do at this area, and I need somebody to come alongside me and help me with this. I had to do that a lot, and I still have to do it every day. You know what I mean?
It kind of goes back to something you touched on a day or two ago, is that you're like, you know, man, like, in my life, I really just try to surround myself with people that are better than me in certain aspects.
Yeah.
And I literally cut you off. I was like, brother, that's how I live my life.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I look up to you. Like, I really do. Like,
Yeah.
I think you're honorable. I think you're, you know, a family man. You work hard. You don't talk. You just do.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't flaunt. You don't brag.
And like I said, it hasn't always been this way.
Of course. And you could totally do all of those things.
Yeah.
You could say, yeah, you know, Cam and I, this, whatever. You don't do that. You just get after it.
Yeah.
So for me to get you out here, I'm like, hey, I can learn a lot from this guy.
Yeah.
And potentially form a bond and a friendship,
Yeah.
which obviously we've done.
Yeah, yeah.
And we have multiple trips planned, and maybe some other things in the work that
possibly.
we can talk about if you want to, and if you don't, maybe you'll find out if you're listening. But I think it's important to, and that's how you level up, because I know that's kind of like one of your mantras is leveling up in life. Well, you have to surround yourself with people that are quote unquote better than you in some sort of aspect that you're trying to improve. Yeah. And I think that's important.
Well, I think it's kind of funny, because I think when we were talking about that, I was talking about, like, you know, I've always been one of those guys that just was usually the leader around me. Mm-hmm. Like, where I had a lot of people around me that were following me, even though I wasn't necessarily somebody who should have been followed. But then I've always had some people who were older than me who were kind of my mentors, you know what I mean? And did that were good people for me to follow. But there's a hard line there, like, versus being a leader and kind of following the leader. You know what I mean? Like, especially when you're younger, like there's a lot of wisdom in realizing like, hey, I need to follow this guy and learn from him versus, man, you know, I'm trying to be this leader, but I'm not really cut out for this right now. Like, it's not my place. You know what I mean? There's a hard line right there to find. And I wasn't humble enough to find that at that point. But in elk hunting, it was the example. Like, hey, I'm out here elk hunting with you. We're both pretty much rookies when it comes to elk 100%. Hunting. You know what I mean? We've done some whitetail hunting and some different things being from the Midwest. I've been in the elk woods. Don't get me wrong. I've been around some people who know how to kill elk. And get on elk. But I really don't know anything about it other than what I've learned from those people and watching some TV and reading some articles and, you know, watching some social media content. So I think what I said to you was, man, we really need to find somebody who can come alongside us as young elk hunters to help mentor us, and like somebody that we can go follow around the woods and learn from and ask them those questions and have them show us the way, you know? And you were like, yeah, man, we do need to do that. You know what I mean? And I think that's a humble thing for you and I. Like, that was us being humble in that moment and saying, you know what? We're going to drop the ego. We're not as good as we think we are. And you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And we need to find those people and surround ourselves with those people who are going to help us become better in that area that we're pursuing, that we have these goals in to kill some elk and become better elk hunters and spend more time in the woods doing that. But also, like, you know, we have that in a lot of other areas of our life. And it's like we were just talking about, you've got to drop the ego, you got to humble yourself, and you got to say, you know what, I'm going to go find that person. Mm-hmm. And whether I have to pay them, put some skin in the game like I had to do with my coach, Josiah.
And I had to do with you this week.
Or this week with me. Yeah. Yep, exactly. You know, we both did in a sense. Yeah. But you led the way with that, saying, hey, I'll do that, you know. Or if you're fortunate enough to have somebody close to you who's just like, hey, I'll show you the way. Let's do this, you know. So, yeah, both sides to it, man. But I think another, just kind of touching on this too, is one of the conversations we had the other day was, you know, there's a lot of people who will easily put this front on and say, you know what, I'm a good hunter or whatever. I want to look like a good hunter, whether it's social media or in person or whatever. They show all the good. They don't show the bad or the L's or whatever, you know, the misses and those kinds of things, which to you and I think are super important. Like
more than the successes.
The L's are huge. Like, that's what you learn from. And I think you and I were walking out of the woods, and we came up on some elk hunters, and you know, we had this conversation with them, and I said, hey, did you notice how those guys reacted when we started talking about, like, hey, we're not seeing a lot, or we didn't get into them over here or whatever, and they're like, oh, we saw some elk in there, and this is where we found them, and this, like, it kind of turned this conversation from where we kind of had to humble ourselves in front of them and not like try to be secretive or like not share the truth about where we were at on our hunt, mm-hmm. to those guys opening up saying, hey, you know, we actually saw some over here. Like, they're telling us right where they saw them, like kind of giving us hints in the sense like they were trying to help us. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think there's a good lesson there. Like, when you start to open up about certain things and you're real about certain things, that's when people come alongside you and are very happy to help you and guide the way for you. And I think even just in elk hunting, that was a good example. I said, hey, what did I say after that, Tyler? I said, hey, let's make sure, like, moving forward, like, don't be secretive about things. You don't have any secret hunting spots. You don't
I wish I did.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I know that can be a thing here in Montana. Like, there's some of these old timers that have spots where they've probably killed elk and mule deer and antelope in year after year after year. And they're probably not going to tell many people about where those spots are. But I think when you go up to somebody and you're honest with them, hey, I'm a rookie hunter. I just moved here. You know, I just started learning how to do this stuff. Like, you got any tips, or you got any spots you can show me, or anything that you can help me with? I've always found that people are like, boom, happy to help you out, happy to bring you alongside them. Hey, you want to come to camp with us and hang out? You want to learn from us? Mm-hmm. Like, you don't know what that those doors are going to open up to for you. You have no clue. Mm-hmm. So, and it usually turns into a really great friendship as well. Yeah. So,
and I've learned this from my wife especially, but being able to show that little bit of sense of vulnerability goes a long way.
Yeah.
It does. And
it does.
It does, especially in my marriage. If I can open up to my wife about something that might be bothering me, or, you threw some kind of business ideas at me with the podcast, and I was receptive to that. Like, I love where your head. I like you're getting some stuff going for me in my mind.
Yeah.
And you're willing to help me with some stuff going on maybe here in the future down the
Yep.
road. Like, and I could be like, no, fuck that, dude. Like, no, we're not doing that. It's Montana Knocks forever or die. We're gonna.
This is my brand. This is what I.
We're gonna run it this way, and it's always gonna be this way, and it, like, no perspective or nothing like that.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's why I run the show the way that I run it currently. Like, I'm 1,000,000% honest with the people that listen. It's like, for some reason, everybody thinks that I have the answers. I don't know if that's because I have a show or what.
It comes with that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just like y'all. Like, I am, like I said, it's tailored to the current or aspiring Western hunter.
Yeah.
I'm aspiring. Like, I consider myself a Western hunter now because
you live here.
We're
you're in it.
out here. We're grinding. We're putting miles in. We're on elk.
Yeah.
Like,
we are on elk.
We are on elk.
A couple.
Yeah, a few. Yeah. But I think it's important to show vulnerability and just be honest and transparent.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the elk hunting, and I want to get into that. I don't want it to seem like we struggled out there, because I think that we did very well, and I think that we worked really good as a team.
Yeah.
If you remember this, I told you something on the way there. I said, Collin, this isn't about me. I know you don't have a tag, but this is a team.
Yeah.
Like, we're hunting partners right now for the next 4 days.
Yeah.
If I ask you a question, don't tell me that you don't know. Give me your advice. I'm asking you a question for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, do you want to go high? Do you want to go low? Whatever. And we play this out a million times. Hey, do you think we should go after those bedded elk? What do you want to do? Oh, I don't know, Tyler. You never said that. You would say, hey, I think we should, or I think we shouldn't.
Yeah.
Let's go here.
Or I said, I think you should pick this time.
Of course, but you never said.
But I wanted you to make a decision.
Right,
too.
but you never said that you didn't know.
Yeah.
Well,
we were always going to be making some kind of move. So
yeah, we were always making plays.
Yeah.
And one of my main goals this year was, I just want to be an elk. Same thing as Dan. Like, he wants to be an elk every day.
It's a good goal.
And hell, every day, but I guess this morning and Tuesday was a gong show, but golly, we wasted some gas on Tuesday, but we were in elk for 3 days consistently.
You have to do that. You have, just like anything, you got to go through those moments where, you know what, you're not getting a bunch of W's, but those L's are turning into learning experiences. L isn't for loss, it's for learning.
I love that.
And I think that's what we were doing. We were out there getting those L's, but we're going to learn from it. We were gaining some perspective. We were seeing, hey, there's not a lot of action over here in this area. We're going to go over here and try another area. So that's what we did. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it's cool that we're going to share that and talk about that, because there's a lot of guys out there on social media putting up a lot of reels and content and things like that aren't sharing the L's and aren't sharing the losses and the learning experiences. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't help anybody. That doesn't serve anybody. You know what I mean? Like, we want to share this in a sense that it's going to serve your listeners, the people who are obviously listening on a daily basis or a weekly basis, because they're trying to learn about hunting and learn about this journey to get better at it themselves.
I've never heard that before. L's, I always categorize them as losses, but you said they're for learning.
It's for learning.
Man, I love that.
Write that one down.
Yeah, no, that one's embedded now. I love that. But transparency. I want to talk about one of my biggest takeaways, one of the biggest mistakes that I learned from this weekend.
Yeah, we probably both learned from.
Yeah, this week. That needs to be heard. I think. So you get in Monday. I pick you up. Excuse me. We dial it. I'm like, hey man, we're not gonna hunt Monday. We're gonna take our time. We're gonna get everything dialed in. We're gonna grab our stuff. We're gonna get food. Set us up for success.
Yeah.
The next 4 days, we mosey on it. Get everything done. Get everything squared away. Head up to where we're heading. Find camp. Everything's golden. Tuesday, I was like, hey, I haven't personally seen elk in this particular area, but I have confirmation that, this is a good spot. Mm-hmm. It's a good spot. Well, that morning it wasn't a good spot, and that's elk hunting. That's elk hunting.
That's part of the deal, man.
The elk are where the elk are, right?
Yeah, I like that.
No elk there. Put a few miles in, covered some ground, got in the truck and started plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E, F, G, H, the whole nine. We got after it. We covered some ground.
Yeah, we did.
We were in some good country that we thought would, that night where we were glassing and working that bottom, and we thought that it would be legit. It wasn't. Didn't see a darn elk on Tuesday.
Not at that moment, anyway.
Didn't see a darn elk on Tuesday. I kind of had a plan on what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. Told you, filled you in. You're my partner. Set up camp, and I was like, hey, let's hit this. Never have been here before. Let's hit this. Let's dive in early. Let's try to get to a decent vantage, play the wind, and see what we see. Was it 5-10 minutes? It's still dark. We sit down, bugle.
Yeah.
To about our 10 o'clock, right? Yeah. To about our 10 o'clock. And you looked at me and I looked at you, and it was still dark. We couldn't
glass very well. Yeah.
We couldn't glass. Oh my gosh. And I was like, man, that sounded straight out of a gosh darn bugle tube.
And I agreed with you.
And you agreed with me. I mean, it was a nice, healthy bugle.
It was.
Within 500 yards, I'd say. No?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
For sure. Just off to our 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
We blew it off.
Yeah, we're like, that's got to be somebody up on the mountain over there.
We're like, oh, that's just another hunter.
Yeah. It sounded a lot like a tube or something.
What? So 10-15 minutes
because we're experienced in that.
Oh,
we're very experienced.
I know exactly. I haven't heard a bugle in over a year. I know exactly.
I haven't heard a bugle in over 10.
I know exactly what a herd bull bugle sounds like, or
that wasn't it,
or a rag, or a hunter. I can identify them easily, right? For some freaking odd reason, we're like, oh, that was, there's no freaking way.
Here, let's sit back down. And
I don't know if that's because we got totally skunked the day before, and we're like, in the back of my mind,
I think it was part of it.
Maybe I'm like, man, I really hope he didn't just travel across the country for us to not get in any elk.
Yeah.
Because the first day, we're just like, geez, oh, Pete, it could be a potentially long 4 days.
Yeah, it could be.
So we blew it off. Yeah, it's a hunter. Yeah,
It's got to be somebody up on the mountain.
Well, 10 minutes go by, gets a little lighter. I'm glassing the hillside. Here's 3 cows and a freaking pretty nice gosh darn bull behind it. And guess where that bull was coming from?
Yep.
Pretty much about 200 yards in the direction that he probably should be traveling, towards a north-facing slope from where we heard the bugle.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try to beat him over the ridge. So we freaking throw our packs on and we get going and we bomb. And long story short, never located the herd.
No.
Never located that bull. And I looked at you and I was like,
we just learned a lesson.
What the actual hell did we just do? I'm not saying if we would have acted on that bugle that we would have killed that bull. But we would have been in a lot better position to get in on him. Yeah. All because I was like, nah, man, that was a hunter. Let's not blow his spot up. That was a hunter. I said, who the hell am I to try to identify an elk bugle? I'm a rookie.
Yeah. Well, who are either of us?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we looked at each, and it wasn't far.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not acting like we had to go freaking run 2 miles to get to the ridge where he was.
No.
I mean, he was like 500 yards.
Yeah.
That bugle. I was like, oh, that's just a hunter. Because there was cars and like.
Well, there was people around.
There was.
Yeah.
There was. But if y'all take anything from this, apart from all the other legit nuggets that we gave you, chase all bugles. Especially if you're new. Don't do what we did. That was so dumb.
Yeah,
that was so dumb.
Yeah, it was. No, it's kind of crazy to think back to that, and we're both like looked at each other. Oh, I think that's a human. Yeah. Just like, how dumb could we be?
What?
Like, think if we would have we would have started heading towards that way. You know what I mean? We probably would have put ourselves in a really good position to kill that bull.
Which is what we tried to do.
Yeah.
We just couldn't
couldn't catch up.
Every opportunity that we had this week.
Yeah.
we were always just one step behind, where we couldn't see them in time to cut them off or
they're always moving fast.
To guesstimate, hey, they're riding this ridge over here. Let's go to a point where we think we can intercept them.
Yeah.
It was the perfect opportunity.
Oh, that would have been
It was the perfect opportunity.
Yeah, perfect.
It was a nice little saddle right there. They were riding the saddle. It's exactly what they did.
Went up into a little bowl area.
Oh,
it looked like.
Man. You know, so
yeah, we should have been on that one for sure. That was a big L learning situation.
It was not a loss, dude. I don't take losses now. Exactly. I love that. We learned a big lesson.
But I love that we identified that right away. We both kind of humbled ourselves and said, you know what? Moving forward, if we hear a bugle, we're going to take that bugle seriously. Yeah. If we think we can close in on it, we're going to do it. If we think it's maybe on the other ridge, we're going to probably lay back and wait and see what happens. So that's what we did.
What I tell you that right after that we were talking, I said, well, that'll be a good topic of discussion on the podcast away.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's transparency. It's being vulnerable. Yeah. I don't care if an experienced elk hunter is listening to this and they're just like, what a dickhead. Cool. Yeah. Don't listen to my show. Don't listen to my show. I don't care. You know what I mean?
It's part of the journey.
People need to learn.
It's part of the journey.
It's part of the journey, man.
Yeah.
I'm no expert. Yeah. I've told you a million times this week. I have to put my time in, man. Yeah. I have to mess up a lot. I know that this stuff takes time. I'm not from here. Yeah. I'm not from here. I'm not a new hunter, but I'm new to this style. Mm-hmm. And with that, I'm going to make a lot of mistakes, and I want to share those.
Yeah. Well, and that's why, like I said, that's why I'm here too, is like, I want to put myself in those situations to make those same learning mistakes as well, so I can start to level up in those areas and learn. And hopefully next year when I'm back out here, you know, these 4 days that we got to spend together are gonna rub off on us, and we're gonna catch up to them next year. We're gonna kill a couple bulls in 10 days, whatever we hunt together next year. You know, whatever time we have together next year. You know, and that's why I'm here. I'm here to learn and take those L's, those learning experiences, and move forward from them. So I love it that you said that right away, though. That you were like, oh man, we're not doing that again. No. And I don't think we did. I think we heard some bugles a few times and we chased after them, and you know, maybe didn't have the success that we wanted on those as well, but we didn't make that mistake again. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that was good. Yeah, it was really good.
Well, long story short, man, we had an awesome week. We got into quite a few elk. That was the first time that was our first go at it, and then we saw a couple raghorns that we went after, and I think honestly played it perfect. Just couldn't quite beat them to the spot.
Yeah, they were moving pretty quick too.
Saw a decent group of cows that we were kind of deciding, hey, you know, they're bedded, they're not going anywhere, but we had a really nice opportunity to get into their bedroom. Yep. And we played it perfect. Yep. And I think
that was fun.
It was very fun.
Well, and that was a situation too. You were kind of like, man, should we make a move on these cows? Like, they're just cows. Like, I'd love to kill a bull, but you know what? I'll kill a cow too. You know, like
100%.
You were humble enough to say, you know what? I just want to put myself in a good opportunity to put some meat in the freezer as well, like, and learn. You know, so. You know, we kind of put a plan together and said, you know what, let's go after it. Let's try this, you know. So we made a nice stalk. I felt like we came down the mountain, got the wind right, kept the wind right the whole time, came back up around the mountain, the other side. We literally walked right into their bed. Mm-hmm. You know, she literally peed right there within probably minutes of us getting there. So I felt like we didn't make any bad moves. We had the wind. I think the wind swirled maybe one time. So maybe she caught our wind in that sense. Mm-hmm. But we were checking quite a bit as we made that move. We came in and they weren't there. There was, I think, 3 of them there. So, hey, it happened. You know, it was part of the deal. And, you know, we were both a little bummed out, you know, but it was a great learning experience. And hey, it was just awesome to be there to have that opportunity to put that stock on and kind of put our skills up against a couple cows. And like I said right after that, I said, hey, it's a couple cows, man. It's just another learning experience that when you do get in on a nice bull, like, you're gonna have that, you know, that's in your back pocket now. You know, that's something you've learned. That's that experience that you've had. And And then from there, we got into a few more opportunities as well. So
yeah. I think the great thing about that stalk is that we took our time, because right as we kind of glassed those cows up,
they were bedded.
Yeah, they were bedded. Right as we glassed them up, though, a bull pitched a bugle. I mean, a good ways away.
That's right.
And I was like, listen, I got
on the other side of us.
Yeah, I was like, listen, dude, like, there's no shame in my game.
We didn't have wind. We didn't have the wind.
I will kill any said elk, and I've been on record saying that on here. I got 2 tags, like bull and cow.
Yeah.
I was like, I'd rather make this play because I think we have better wind and I think we can actually get in there.
Mm-hmm.
But we took our time, and for you guys that obviously elk hunt that listen to the show, you can glass something up from 500-600, what were they, 550 or something?
Yeah, something like that.
You can glass something up and be like, oh, yep, they're right there. But when you start navigating through terrain and, you're up and down in elevation and the trees look like, as you get closer, it's harder
to keep that vantage point.
Right. It's harder to identify exactly where they were.
Yeah.
And you can drop a pin on Onyx and all that looks great. But like at the end of the day, you're not over there yet.
Yeah.
So like you will have a really rough estimate of, hey, I think they're over there. Well, we studied that area really good. Mm-hmm. A particular tree here, a particular bush here that was extremely green.
There was a piece of a little sage bush.
We were coming in so perfect, dude, that my sight was originally dialed at 41 because I was shooting the day before at camp. I dialed it all the way down to 20. I was like,
we're getting close.
And you were filming me.
Yeah.
And I was like, if this is going down, it's going down like point blank. Yeah. I dialed it down to 20. I mean, we got right into the bedroom.
If she would have been there, it was a done deal.
Dead elk?
At least 20.
Dead elk. Max 20, dude. Yeah. Max 20.
Yeah, that was...
So keep that in mind, too, obviously. Like, you're never going to be perfect on your entry point. So take your time, especially if they're bedded, and get that lay of the land.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That was good, man. That was a good... I loved that we got in so tight like that. Like, it just gave me shivers as we were walking in there. Like, man, she was just thinking she was just right there. They were right there. You know what I mean? Like, within minutes, we were right on top of that spot. So I felt good about how we did that.
I did too.
That was a confidence booster for us. Even though it didn't come through, like we were both confident, like in the fact that, hey, we can put a stalk on, we can get in close, and we can get within minutes of putting an elk down. So that was cool. Yeah.
I think so too. But overall, man, I just thoroughly enjoyed you coming out here, sharing a camp with you. I thought that it would happen eventually. I just didn't think it would happen so soon and so last minute, which makes it even
kind of fun.
Better. Like even better. But before I start grilling these steaks, what you got going on, man? What's going on with Collin Cottrell when he goes back to Texas?
Yeah, that's a good question. I got to figure that out. Yeah, myself. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm like, sorry for putting you on the spot.
No, man. No, I've got to get back, and I've got a high caliber hunt. Hopefully, that's going to be launching here pretty quick, and that's going to be for probably early to mid December. So that's something. If your listeners are interested in being in a cool hunting camp in Texas, probably going to do a pig hunt with an opportunity to potentially, pay a little bit more money to, do a management deer hunt or something like that. But honestly, like we were talking about, it's not about that. It's about getting around these high caliber guys, spending some time in camp with good people, some people you can learn from, people that will become your friends for life potentially, So I'm pretty pumped up about that. I've got that going on. And then, man, jumping right back into training. Not that this was an off week or anything like that, because we put some miles in. But Coach Ryan's got me back on the regimen next week and jumping back in, getting ready for this 100. I've got, 5.5 months left to train for that. So I think I've got a good, 30, 40-mile week next week, and it's going to keep leveling up from there. So putting some miles in, getting my lifts in, training some jiu-jitsu. I've got hunting season. My personal hunting season starts October 1st. So for Texas. So that's coming up pretty quick as well. So I've got some reps I got to get in, keep shooting the bow, get the bow dialed in and tuned up here a little bit. I've just had some new strings put on it. So I know Chris over at HHA sent me a new sight. So I've got to get that put on as well. yeah, man, just got to get dialed in for hunting season, man. I've been so focused on building my business with high caliber hunts, you know, taking other people hunting and putting my hunting camps together, that kind of forgot that I've got my own hunting season coming. Well, and then spending time with you too on your hunt. Like I didn't have a tag in my pocket here. So kind of made it surreal for me. Like, hey, when I get back, like I'm literally less than 15 days from hunting season for us. So I definitely got to get out to my lease there in Central Texas and you know, move some stuff around, get the trail cameras rocking. I got a few trail cameras rolling, but got to make sure I get things back on point. Get some corn in the feeders, of course, because that's how we do it in Texas.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, man, it's always good. I'm on a great lease. It's a bow only lease, so there's a lot of good opportunity there. You know, I put a lot of time in there. I'm going to be spending a lot of time there this fall. I've got an Illinois hunt planned. I'm going to go to Illinois and put some time in the tree there during the rut. I'm trying to think of what else. I really don't have a lot of other stuff in the works. So I might go out to Arizona in January, potentially. I've got an invite out there with some guys who've done some over-the-counter hunting out in Arizona for muleys. So, you know, what we did here, like, man, it gave me that bug. Like, man, I might as well go put some time in out there. I mean, it's probably not going to be as steep and as big there as it is here, but it's definitely going to be a Western style hunt, and spot and stock on muleys, as you already know, is not easy. So we did a little bit of that today, actually.
Golly, yeah.
We forgot about that.
Before we got surrounded by a monsoon.
Yeah, that was crazy, man. But so yeah, that's kind of my fall. A lot of training, a lot of time in the woods, hopefully. Family time, of course. Got the girls back in school now, so that's going good. Yeah, man. Hopefully getting some things going too. I've got you and I, you know, you kind of hinted to it earlier. We've got a couple things I've got some stuff in the works, but I reached out to you about it because I was like, man, you and I have been having some good talks about just, you know, leveling up in life and the kind of people we want to surround ourselves with, and how we want to help other people level up in their life. So I know you and I have a lot of similar things that we're into, running and you know, like I said, bow hunting and just trying to improve in life. So we'll see what happens. I've got a podcast idea in the works. I used to have a podcast. I really enjoy doing these. You know, I get asked to be on a lot of podcasts, and I think it's important, like, once you've started to work on leveling up in your life and you've gained a little bit of wisdom and knowledge, to pass that on to other people. So it'd be really cool to have a weekly show where I can host it and share my knowledge and try to help people out as I'm on the journey, like everybody else, like share from my journey. And then, like I said, I'd like to have, you know, some people like you, some high caliber guys on as some co-hosts. You know, my buddy Clint. I've got several other people that I've become really close friends with that I'd like to have involved with it, because I think there's a lot of good value that we can share collectively as a group to help other people on their own journey. So that's a little, you were hinting to it, so I'll drop a little bit about it, but we'll see what happens. We still got to come up with a name and all those kinds of things.
Oh, yeah.
all the important parts of it, right?
Well, good thing that's kind of what you do. So maybe this thing will actually happen. Who knows?
It just might. If I can find the time.
It just might. And the plus thing about running a show is that you can edit out whatever people want to hear and whatever people don't want to hear. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, and I apologize if I'm not, but you have a little bit of a relationship with Vortex, so I appreciate you helping me out with that brand new rangefinder that you personally gave me yours that I desperately need. I've always ran a Vortex rangefinder, but this one is definitely an upgrade. So
yeah, you're welcome.
You can tell me offline if you don't want that on here. But
no, that's all good.
Thank you so much for that, man. And before we get out of here, how was that salty britches I filled you in on, dog?
Yeah,
you like that stuff?
Dude, that's so obviously I'm new to the running game. And just thinking about that stuff from that perspective, like, you know, I haven't had a lot of issues with my feet, but I know obviously going into a 100-mile run that I need to protect myself when it comes to chafing and making sure I, you know, don't lose my feet, lose my legs, those kinds of things. So you're like, dude, you got to try this stuff. Like, this stuff is legit. Like, it works perfect. Like, it's not just for running, it's for hunting, it's for outdoor activity. You know, you talked about the family, you know, who they are, what they're all about, how cool they are.
Amy's the best.
Yeah. so you're telling me about this product. And I'm like, man, that's a cool name for a product, you know? And anyway, we tried it out this week, and I put it on my feet. I rubbed it, you know, on my ankles, all those things, my hands even. And dude, this stuff is legit. Like, it works really good. Like, I've used petroleum jelly, and I've used stuff in the past, you know, when I've had some issues, and that stuff doesn't hold up, man. This stuff really, like, I literally don't have any chafing area. I had one little hot spot that was starting to get a little hot spot on the top of my left foot. I put that on there. It went away. It literally went away. I have had no issues, and we put on almost 40 miles this week. So, and I'm wearing a pair of Keens. Like, I'm not wearing Crispies or something like that. I'm wearing some crappy Keens that are like $100 boots, you know, $100 hiking shoes. So, good pair of synthetic socks and some salty britches, man. Like, you can't go wrong. So, I'll definitely, hopefully I can get added to the pro staff team here soon.
Oh, Lord. Sorry, y'all.
So I'm gonna need a lifetime supply of that stuff.
Yeah, sorry, y'all. You're not going to get that joke. That was a week at hunting camp joke. But, yeah, man, it's the business. I get on here and every week and kind of pitch my little spiel with salty britches. But it's the bomb.
Yeah.
It's the bomb. If you hunt,
it's a good product.
If you hunt like I hunt, which is mobile, you're after it, you're putting on miles, and if you train like we train, you need it. You just need it.
I'm gonna be putting it on my feet every day for the next 6 months, because here's the deal, man. Here's the truth. I'm gonna be probably running 6 miles a day, 7 miles a day at least at the low end for the next 5.5 months. You know, so I'm gonna need something to make sure I'm not wearing my feet out and getting blisters and abrasion and whatever. You know, so yeah, I'm on the salty britches train, baby.
I love that. I love that, man.
Tell Amy I said hello.
I will. Amy's a sweetheart, man, and she's a turkey hunter too.
Ooh,
yeah, she's awesome, man.
I got some ideas.
They got a good crew of quote unquote ambassadors.
Cool.
One of them's Justin Hamilton, who won the Mid-State this year.
Wow.
Obviously, Chad Wright, Chili.
Yeah.
People from all over the place.
That's
so,
cool. Well, now it's in the hunting space.
It is,
well.
And that was my biggest goal in conversation with her is I'm an ultra hunter.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? I'm an
that.
ultra hunter.
Yeah.
I get after it in the mountains.
Yeah.
I might not be running them. Sometimes we ran a little bit.
Yeah.
We ran a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's big miles over a short period of time, and to prevent those hot spots, I don't care how good your boots are, you're gonna
you get a hot spot and you're out.
You're
done.
Yeah,
you know,
you're done. So shout out to Salty Britches, y'all go check those out or check them out. Use code MTKNOX for 20% off. And dude, let's go grill some steaks. Let's have another beer or two and catch up on some rest. But, dude, honor to call you a friend. Thank you for coming out. Just getting out here, sharing a camp, getting to know what makes Collin tick and what you're all about. I love literally everything you stand for. And, dude, anytime you want to come to Billings and get after some elk, you're always welcome here.
Yeah, I appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much. And I just want to say, man, I appreciate for you being, you know, a few years younger than me, like, just who you are and like how you're trying to level up and how you're trying to grow in your life, and not just physically, but in your marriage and your business and in a lot of other areas. Like, that speaks volumes of who you are and who you want to be. So keep staying on that path, man. Like, it's a cool path. And like, I know I'm not very far into that journey myself, but I can tell you, like, 2 years into this thing, you know, there's a lot of good things to come for you. And I'm excited that we've built this friendship, that we get to spend some time together, that you've, you know, had me out here with you and your family, and we got to spend some time in camp getting to know each other. And here's the thing, like, when you spend 3, 4, 5 days in camp together with somebody in a hunting camp, and especially elk camp, like, you get to know them. Dude. So we didn't kill each other. We still like each other. We're sitting here doing a podcast together after the fact. So that's cool, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate our time together. Let's go eat some freaking steak because I'm hungry.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. I have to touch on this. I pick you up from the airport. We head out to the spot. 4 hours after I shake your hand, we're sleeping next to each other. And then last night, you're like, son, you were getting kind of friendly. I'm like, what are you talking about?
A little cuddly.
Getting kind of friendly. You're like, son, you were kind of like really close to me last night.
It was chilly, though. So I gave you the benefit of the doubt. It was a little chilly the other night. So.
Lord. Hopefully my wife listens to this, but not all the way to the hour and 30-minute mark. She might get jealous. But with all that being said, let's go eat some steaks. Thanks again, man. I appreciate you.
You bet.